let's see how loud it is.
Hi, hello, welcome.
Smile like that.
It's a regular smile.
It's crystal clear, we've been out here, struggling straight along the way, but having you by my side makes everything okay. We're watching video clips of all types of shits, laughing out loud, we really hate this crowd, and we don't know where to go, hopefully take it slow. Lots of hustler minds will reject and decline our approach to life, and that, well, that's just fine. We wanna let others live because it's none of our business. We press your chest upon our mess. There's so many minds, hey, I'd like to align. Take me out of this place, we want a part of this race. We do what we can, you better tap out, man. You're about to pass out or get a pick for the cloud. Why is it so hard out here? They made it so weird. Try to stay woke and humble and joke. It's f***ing hard out here.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of It's Hard Out Here, and today we have our first ever returning guest, Jason Rivera, striking coach at 10th Planet Austin, pro MMA fighter, and big news, he just recently had his 100th fight in MMA over in Houston, Texas for Fury Fighting Championship. And so we're going to get into that a little bit later in the episode. But first I wanted to talk about Jason's overall fight journey, from the beginning, where he came from and what he's been through to get where he's at today. What's going on, Jason? Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me back, guys. I appreciate it.
For the third time now.
For the third time, yeah. Some technical difficulties made it a three-peat.
Yeah.
But we're good. We're good.
We're getting
Appreciate
there.
it.
We're working it out,
Blast every time, so it was
Yeah.
great.
It was meant to be.
Yeah. And thank you
I'm so mesmerizing with my words. they saved the audio file from last time. They just wanted some more.
Yeah, it was like the audio recorder couldn't handle Jason's voice, so it just blew, essentially, It's like when
Powerful.
people hear the voice of God in the Bible, they can't because you have to...
Profound.
Broke our camera.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
But yeah.
Where did you start boxing? How did this happen for you?
The whole fighting journey started because I'm adopted, and it started because I was getting into a lot of scraps in school, in elementary school. Shouldn't be like a third, fourth grader just getting into street fights like Kimbo Slice, you know what I mean?
That's little,
I mean, just kids would say things, and I didn't have the mental capacity to be like, well, you don't know what you're talking about. So it's like, what'd you say to me?
Right.
And then it was just, brawling, My mom wanted me to find an outlet because I was having a hard time. I would, in elementary school, I was getting in-school suspension and stuff like that because of things like that. And again, you shouldn't really be in elementary school getting in-school suspension because you're fighting.
Yeah.
So my mom found an outlet for me, because my dad did it in the military and he was my first coach. So that's where I transitioned from, And then I had my first training session when I was 11, and it was an eye-opening experience because I realized that combat sports is one of those things where you can't judge a book by its cover.
Right.
When it comes to identifying people and, pointing people out like you're tougher than them or, I learned because the first sparring session that I had, I got beat up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got beat up. Cried on my way home from the gym, because I was like, what the was that?
That's crazy,
So it was just, it was eye-opening because it gave me the most realistic experience of what martial arts was going to be. I grew boxing into martial arts as well.
Right.
Because of the consistency and discipline that's required to be good at it.
Yeah.
That's, I guess, de facto a default martial art for me was boxing. That was my karate, that was my taekwondo. And since we grew up in I would say we were not so much, we were lower middle class. So it's we didn't have the resources to put me in all kinds of sports.
Right.
Boxing, I tell people when I train them, it's one of the cheapest sports there are. I can put tape on the floor and make a ladder. You know what I mean? I can I can use a wall to teach somebody how to throw a punch properly, a straight punch. So again, that's why you see so many like minority champions in boxing, is because like it's the most accessible. It's the most accessible thing to people in inner cities, to lower class income families, you know, or lower income families. Like, so yeah, that's where it led for me, and one thing led to another, and I had my first fight when I was 12. 27 years later, I coach. You know, I'm aspiring to be a mentor in the fight game.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's where we're at right now.
12 years old, your first fight. That's crazy.
12 years
I
old.
remember my actually I have a sort of a similar story. I obviously didn't go the place that you went with it, but there was one school in El Paso, Texas called Bushido, and it was an ninjutsu school originally, but the owner of that gym was actually training at Lion's Den at the time. I had no idea about like MMA at this time or anything like that.
Ken Shamrock and
I found
those
out
guys.
later, yeah. But they would like go full on like sparring with like the striking, you know, and there we were. We all had like black gis on, and I had my white belt, and then they put me up with this other kid, and I was like around 8 or 9, I think, and he just like pieced me up so like, and it was quick too. He was fast. Obviously, you know, kids are fast, and he just like lit me up. I didn't know
Eye-opening.
Which direction I was in. You know, just like getting smacked from every angle.
It's like Chris Tucker in Rush Hour. It's like, which one I just hit me?
And like I don't remember much else after that. I just remember not
concussion.
going back. I didn't go back. I was like, no, don't want to do that. so I probably cried on the way home too, honestly. But I eventually went back, but I did something that was a little bit tamer, which was Taekwondo.
Yeah.
They don't have like as an aggressive sparring structure in most of those schools.
And even those, like I've seen, like my son's mom, her sister is like a junior Olympic, like at the time, it's like junior Olympic level Taekwondo.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, I've seen like sparring videos, and like some of those sparring videos for Taekwondo, it's like a lot of touch scoring.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But there's sometimes where like they'll catch a kick on the neck or something like that, and you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
You know, just the explosiveness of somebody in Taekwondo.
Right.
But yeah, like that's always one of those things where you see it for the first time and you're like, oh, that's how it's really done.
It was wild.
You know, so yeah.
Yeah, I've always loved the martial arts. You know, grew up watching all those cheesy like 80s, 90s, like
Bloodsport, Bloodsport, Steven Seagal movies.
Yeah, and so when I would play around, that's how I would play. I'd be like fighting off the bad guys, you know? And I was like, I got this. I felt super confident about it. My dad was a black belt competitor in Taekwondo also, so that's what kind of got me into it. And my first class, I was just like, oh, maybe, I don't know if I'm like into this as much as I thought I was.
That's why I'm like, my daughter does jiu-jitsu right now. And her journey is like the same, but she's like, I can submit people now. I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
You're not the best yet.
Yeah.
I was like, you got a long way to go. You know what I mean? She was like, I can submit such and such rank belt, and I was like, oh, you got a long way to learn. You got such a long way to go.
So much learning.
You know?
So you did keep going. Did it help you like stop fighting in your?
It did. Like it really did. And like we moved from New York to Florida, and like when I was in middle school and high school, like I really I did everything in my power. Just like, all right, I'm gonna honor my mom's wishes. I'm not gonna I do this not for real, but I do it for real. You know, like I've trained enough. I fight now competitively. So I don't want to give these people that don't deserve my attention in that capacity. Right. I'm not going to give them that attention that that they want.
Yeah.
Right. And it worked up until I got to high school, and it pretty much worked through high school. But there were a couple moments where I had to like put hands on somebody because I'm the new kid at school from another state.
Yeah. That's
it's another thing when you got hormones.
Yeah.
Blazing with like teenagers, right? They're raging.
Kids are just
kids say off the cuff.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like whether it's about you being adopted or just anything in general. Teasing you and making fun of you, you know, or crossing that line and touching you and like trying to annoy you physically. So there was like 2 times in high school where I like put hands on somebody and it's like, all right, now you guys know who I am.
Right.
We're not going to play this game anymore.
Yeah.
Like I'm not here to fight y'all. I'm here to be friends with people, you know, from all walks of life.
Yeah.
And that's genuinely that's really how I am right now. It's like, if I can vibe with you in some capacity, I don't care how you grew up, you know, like I want to be welcoming to everybody.
Yeah.
you know. But yeah, high school, it definitely, fighting definitely did change the tone. It changed the direction, like my emotional direction. And anytime that I've gotten into any altercation as an adult, it's supposed to be because alcohol has been involved, not my part, but like other people's parts, where I'm like, I don't like to be around people like this.
Sure, yeah.
You know, and I like, again, give anybody the same way I treat somebody sober. It's like, I'm going to talk to you. I'll talk to you. I don't care if you're drunk, if you're sober. I'm going to talk to you. Hey, man, like, you know, I'll be a little bit more lenient with you because you're drunk. Because if I just beat a drunk person's butt, then it doesn't make me look cool.
Yeah,
that's unfortunate.
But you know what I mean? Like, try to guide those people a little bit more. But again, I've had to beat some drunk people up too.
And sometimes there's like a point of no return.
Yeah, that's it. That's it, man. If I get past if we get past the talking point and I don't feel safe, and you're still in my presence, I take that as a threat. You know what I mean? Exactly. So it's like, I'm not one to shy away from solving a problem that needs to be fixed. You know, if it means physical altercation, so be it, as long as I know that me and the people I care about are safe. Right. You know, so
that's number one. You know,
safety is paramount, man. Like, and that's not gonna be like, I'm just gonna, you know, mop the floor with somebody. I'll control them, and you know, if I gotta freaking just be a wet blanket until somebody, you know, please come. And so be it. You know what I mean? But like, at the end of the day, I'm never looking for problems, especially now in my life. But I've never been one to like shy away from, you know, putting somebody in their place that needs to be put in their place. Yeah. If they're asking for it, you know, I have to do it, you know.
There's like no going any other way about it. It's like, okay, well,
the ultimate last resort is to fight somebody, especially out in the streets. I'm not getting paid for that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not worth my time.
Yes.
And there's so much more risk involved.
Oh, absolutely.
On the street,
absolutely.
You know?
Like, or
life and death.
And you don't know if it's somebody who just has a wild hair up their ass and they have a knife or a gun.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Or they're just quick to sue you.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, there's all those factors that go into it where it's like, it's not even worth it. Right. Yeah. You know, whether somebody's driving like an idiot or just running their mouth belligerent. Yeah. You're not worth my time, man.
Yeah.
You
know?
know?
The real work you're doing is actually in a gym.
Yeah.
That's where you spent that time doing that.
I'm not setting a good example for people that I teach.
Yeah.
Right.
If I'm out there just like bullying or looking for problems. Yeah. You know, looking for fights as a 40-year-old man.
Yeah. I mean, some people do.
I'm 39. I have no desire to like put myself in a public setting and just be that guy. Yeah. I don't want to be that guy. Right. Because then at the same time, there's the flip of it. You can be that guy, and then all of a sudden somebody cracks you in the face and makes you look bad. Oh, like I just knocked out this MMA fighter. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like,
no, yeah.
Right? So it's like one of those things where it's like I'm not giving anybody, I'm not entertaining anybody's stupidity. Right. You know, like if you put me in a box and you make me feel like I can't leave a situation or I feel unsafe, like I said, I have no problem.
Yeah, yeah. So
laying the smack down.
In high school, other than like the altercations at school, were you doing other fights outside of that? Like boxing?
Like I was boxing. The only thing I ever knew up until 2007, 2006 was boxing. By the time that I was getting out of the military, right, all I knew was boxing. And then like when I was deployed to Afghanistan, I had a bunch of MMA DVDs. Yeah. You know, so I had like the old Pride Fighting Championship DVDs from Japan. Oh yeah. You know, and I had some UFC DVDs. Like, so I was familiar with MMA, but I was very familiar with Vanderlei Silva. Yeah. And that's what really got me, you know, into MMA. So I was like, man, like this guy's a fucking killer. I want to be like him. You know, and
he fought with Pride too, right?
Yeah, he fought in Pride. He fought in the UFC. Yeah. Like he's been all, and I think he retired in Bellator. I think he fought in Bellator.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he retired in Bellator. But yeah, just watching that guy at his prime, you're just like, holy. Prime Vanderlei Silva is one of the scariest guys in the sport. Yeah. You know, and I was living in North Carolina at the time. Got my first training experiences with MMA through Team Rock, which is Tim Kennedy. Shout out to Tim Kennedy.
Oh, right on.
Tim Kennedy's old gym, that old team that he used to train out of when he was stationed in Fort Bragg, North Carolina.
Oh, cool.
And so it's crazy because that interaction came full circle last year, at the beginning of last year. Yeah. Because the last time I trained with him was like 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Before last year. And
Yeah, because he's here in Austin.
yeah, he's here in Austin. So Andrew, I went to a training session with Andrew Craig.
Yeah.
And Tim introduces himself to me, and I was like, I know who you are, Tim. I was like, you used to beat the shit Team Rock.
Yeah.
And he goes, oh, you're the boxing guy.
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, I'm the boxing guy. Tim remember though, that was like crazy.
Yeah,
like
he seems like a really great guy.
You know what I mean? Like really great guy. He's like, oh man, that's crazy that you're still with it. Like that's cool to see. He's like, you're linked up with Andrew, you know, and then we started chopping it up from there.
That's cool.
And it was cool because he was like, oh, that's right, you're the boxing guy.
Yeah.
You know, and I was like, dude, that's pretty dope. You know, but yeah, that's where I got my start with, and then I was like, the more I thought about it, you know, I had access to the internet and, you know, surfing the web. I was like, I wanted to train with Vanderlei. So I was like thinking, I was like, all right, how do I get my passport? How do I do all these things? Because in my mind, I was like, I'm going to Brazil. You know what I mean? I'm going to I'm going to Curitiba, wherever he lives or wherever he's training at, and I'm going to train there. I'm going to move there. I don't know Portuguese. I don't care. It's cool. I'll learn.
All right.
You know? Good thing he had a school in Vegas, so I was like, don't need a passport, don't need all that fun stuff.
Nice.
Cool, I'm just getting on a plane and going to Vegas. So I was dating a girl at the time. I had this like Toyota Camry, and this was like 2008, 2009, 2010. So yeah, the beginning of 2010. I'm already doing MMA for about 2-3 years at that point.
Yeah, I was gonna say you just started.
Yeah. So just started, had one amateur fight. I was with like this garage gym called Angels Gym in Fayetteville, North Carolina.
Oh wow.
And it was like I lived there for a little bit. You know, I lived at the gym. At the gym.
Oh yeah.
You know, I had got out of the military. Really didn't have all that much money, like because your boy was immature with his finances.
Yeah,
you
we
know,
touched on that last episode.
But like I was immature with my finances, but I did well enough to where like I had money saved up, you know, and then I was also collecting unemployment from the military. So I saved up.
Yeah.
My coach allowed me to stay at the gym for like 8 months.
Wow.
So I saved up for 8 months.
What was that like? What was it like living in a gym?
I had a cot.
Yeah.
There was a refrigerator, there was a shower. There wasn't like a stove or anything, so I had to like microwave shit.
Okay, yeah,
you know what I mean? Or I had to eat out.
That's crazy.
Or I like, depending on if I was dating somebody at the time, or if I had friends access to their house, they would invite me over to let me to like cook.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay.
So and then I lived. Once I saved up enough, I had money to get my. I had a trailer. It was a single wide.
Yeah.
It was just enough for me. You know what I mean? I still remember the address, Lady Cheryl Park. Like, like I still remember the lady that helped me out, this old ass lady named Rose. And
such an old lady name.
Yeah, no, like Rose.
Rose.
She got me she hooked it up too. Like I was paying like $385 a month.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, like $385 a month.
Number.
You know, and I didn't have a car. You know, like at that time, and then like I had enough saved up for that as well. And then I was just like telling you guys about my friends that I was go play basketball with.
Yeah.
And I would always go play basketball with them. And every Monday, it was just like, all right, man, I'll see you guys next week. See you guys next week. See you guys next week.
Yeah.
It was always that repetition. And we would always hang out with each other to watch the fights on Saturdays. And we'd always see the Vegas skyline. And I was like, I'm going there.
Yeah.
You know? And then one week, they called me up. Hey, where you at? I'm gone. I'm in Vegas already.
Yeah.
You know, so I sold everything I had. You know, after living in that trailer for a year, you know, I was paying next to nothing, so I could save up for a year.
Yeah.
Amazing.
You know, and I saved up. I was dating a girl at the time that I met through Angel's Gym. Her name's Lauren Ross, who actually I'm still friends with to this day.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. Still like, she's like my best friend. Yeah, shout out Lauren Ross. But yeah, like still best friends with her. But at the time we were dating, I drove that Toyota Camry all the way down to Jacksonville, Alabama. She was going to JSU in Jacksonville, Alabama. And I went on Craigslist. I was looking to sell my car so I could buy a plane ticket to go to Vegas.
Oh, dang.
Because like I knew if I sold my car, I could still make it work in Vegas. Everything was pretty centralized.
Okay.
You know, take the bus for 6 months, save up for another car.
Okay.
You know, it was like just $1,500. I was able to find something, you know. So I sold the car, got like $2,500 for it, you know, so I had a little bit extra money, right?
Okay.
Bought a plane ticket From Jacksonville, I flew out to Vegas.
Wow.
So yeah,
dang, that's crazy.
So I drove from Fayetteville to Jacksonville. Fayetteville to Jacksonville, and then Jacksonville took a flight from I guess wherever the major Fayetteville, Arkansas. Oh, not Arkansas. No, I forgot. I'm trying to think where. Anyway,
I've never spent time.
yeah.
I don't know.
Alabama again. It's Alabama, Arkansas, Mississippi, all the same thing. But it was. I got on a plane, got to Vegas, and that's where I started training at Vanderlei's. You know, I still remember the same day I got there. Wow. It was just pretty cool because I get there, I see this magnificent building that I just saw on the internet. Like I was like, oh man, I saw the training videos. I'm here now. Yeah, this is real.
That's crazy.
I see Vanderlei. I'm like, oh. It's crazy.
Did he happen to be there?
Yeah, he happened to be there, right? Like you knew Vanderlei was there because one of 3 cars were in the parked right in front, in his parking spot. Oh, wow. He had an Aston Martin. He had a Lincoln Navigator with like a decal of his gym. Okay, it was like a wrap. And or his wife's like Maserati.
Wow.
Yeah, like Vanderlei did well for himself in the sport. Like the UFC made him a millionaire, like multi-millionaire. Oh wow. But Pride made him a multi-millionaire.
Really?
Oh yeah, for sure.
I thought, did he do Pride first and then UFC?
Pride? No, actually UFC first.
Oh, okay.
Right, and then because he fought Vitor Belfort. He fought Vitor Belfort in the UFC in the early days of the UFC, like late 90s, like 99 or something like that. Yeah. And then he went to Pride. Okay. And then he went back to the UFC, and then he went to Bellator.
All right.
Yeah.
A lot of guys from they ended up at Bellator, right? Because they just had like better contracts, better pay, and stuff like that.
It depending on how you look at it, because like at certain points, like Bellator was kind of like the MLS, like where like famous players would go to retire.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. That's kind of like, well, they still have the ability to make good money.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. It's just like when it comes to revenue, which is a whole podcast in itself.
Yeah, right.
The company makes their money, and then the money trickles down, you know, from revenue and stuff like that, like to the fighters. Yeah. So with Bellator, the option to make more money is there because they have sponsors that you can make, that you can wear on your shorts and everything like that.
Gotcha.
So a lot of fighters now will go there or to PFL.
Or
because of that, you know what I mean? Because of the ability to have sponsors outside of fighting that you can put on your shorts or put on your banner. Right. You know what I mean? That doesn't have to pay the UFC to be broadcast. Okay. Right? So that's why you see the Venom deals, the Reebok deal. Yeah. Because it's like, boom. Universal, you know what I mean? Like you're gonna get paid from the pay pyramid that Reebok or Venom has, and then the fighter the pay pyramid that the UFC has. Yeah, yeah. So it's.
I mean, a lot of the fighters have ended up at Bellator.
Yes, a lot of guys have done that, and then you get some guys that have the opposite thought of that, where it's like, well, if I want to be the best in the world, I have to go to the UFC.
Yeah, there's still that mentality.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like, do I want to get paid the most, or do I want to be the best in the world? And you get, you get to see where people's, if they know that they're not going to be a world champion in the UFC, you can still be a world champion. You're still throwing the same punches, taking the same punches, taking the same damage in Bellator that you are in the UFC. Right. You know, there's guys that have gone from Bellator to the UFC that become world champions, right? You know, or become successful. So, you know, the organization doesn't necessarily matter. It all matters, like, you know, what that person's goal is at the end of the day, depending on where they are in their career.
Yeah, where they want to go with taking. Yeah. So you're starting at
Vanderlei's.
Yeah. So then you just arrived there the first day.
Okay, I arrived there the first day, and I see Vanderlei. He comes up to me. And he goes, "Hey man, welcome." You know, it's like he asked me to take a picture with him, and I'm like thinking to myself, I'm like,
he asked you?
Yeah. I was like, I didn't ask, because like I wasn't even thinking about asking him to take a picture, because I was kind of like, I don't get starstruck. Yeah, I don't. Right. Everybody's a human being just like I am. They just happen to be better at what they do than I am. You know what I mean? They've worked to get to that point. Sure. And if anything, that's motivation, not intimidation. Yeah. Right. But at the same time, like, Vanderlei Silva, man, like, dude, like, that's crazy.
He was a huge star.
Like a huge star. Yeah. And for him to be as gracious as he was, and as inviting and welcoming as he was, really kind of laid the foundation for how I am now. Like, I'm no Vanderlei Silva, but I can still be as gracious and welcoming and inviting to my place of training, you know, which is the Masters 10 Planet. Yeah. You know, I can be that same way. so that people can remember me in some capacity in the same way.
Yeah,
that I was welcoming, inviting, that I was here to be an addition to somebody's path, to somebody's journey, a positive instead of a hindrance, you know? So like he laid the foundation for that because
that's awesome. Yeah.
Man, like it,
shout out Vanderlei.
Yeah, no, for real. Like
that up.
he's still to this day. Like we follow each other on Instagram. We keep in touch with each other.
That's awesome.
You know,
that's
so
cool.
it's a relationship that has been, 14 years now.
Yeah,
I've been friends with Vanderlei Silva.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy. Like to even think that while he was actively fighting, I was getting to know him. You know, he was kind of wrapping up his career, but like, man, it was fights with Brian Stan, Michael Bisping, Chris Lieb, and all these guys that I was there to help him get ready for. To be a part of his training camps, to be, his main boxing partner. Even though I was smaller than him, I could still, give Vanderlei a little bit of work.
Sure, yeah.
Obviously, when he went full Vanderlei mode, that's a whole different ballgame that I can't even keep up with. There's not many people that I've seen that have come to the gym visiting or have been part of the team that when Vanderlei hears the 30-second ring on the bell, you better fight for your life for 30 seconds.
That's when he's going for it?
Yeah, and it's like, and it's crazy to think that he's not even really hitting you with the same concussive shots that he would to somebody in a fight, but he's giving you that same realistic look, and just punches just flying at you. And you're just like, whoa.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I would say that's him at 60%.
Yeah.
And that's still like,
crazy.
I've been like hit and be like, oh shit, that fucking hurts.
Yeah.
Because when you get into when you've done it enough, when to flip the switch and like, I'm just going to go hard on this motherfucker for 20, 30 seconds. And then just dial it back, boom, boom, boom. But him, it was always the last 30 seconds of the round.
That's wild.
And he would like chase you around the freaking ring.
Yeah.
But it helped you because like now when you're in there with somebody who isn't as skilled or isn't as intimidating as Vanderlei, you're like, okay.
Yeah.
Let's go.
That's true, yeah.
You know what I mean? So we learned very fast how to be tough from Vanderlei.
Yeah.
That's crazy. We also learned how to be technical because he knew how reckless he was. So he wanted to instill a different training style.
Oh, okay.
We could still be savages. We could still go crazy, but be technical savages.
Yeah, because he was a little bit of a loose cannon.
Oh yeah, he was a wild man.
Yeah.
He was a wild man when it was like hooks and uppercuts were his thing.
I was gonna say he would brawl.
Yeah, he was a brawler.
Like
he was a brawler.
Yeah,
he's a striker at the end of the day, but like he's a brawler.
Yeah.
If you get close enough quarters, it's hooks and uppercuts.
Yeah.
Right. So like,
James, can we get you to flip the mic up? Yeah.
My bad.
Yeah, it's all good.
But I learned from that point. Okay, I can still do what he does, but I can channel that. I can still be me overall, but I can learn how to sometimes bite down on my mouthpiece. And it doesn't have to be every single time like him to where it becomes reckless. If that's my default motion, I'm going to get caught eventually.
Yeah.
But
that's always the worry with those
knowing that I have that dog, that I can tap into that and let it out and like, all right, we can do this. I showed I showed that in my last fight because of the intensity that the person was projecting onto me. I was like, all right, cool, we can go there. But yeah, I learned that. And it's always been something that's been with me, from my very first fight in Vegas, to December 3rd of last year, it's always something that I know, like, I don't have to flaunt it. I don't have to talk about it. But when I have to tap into it, it'll be there. For sure, Vanderlei.
How much time did you spend there?
I was there. Okay, so I was in Vegas for 7 years.
Okay.
And I was probably at Vanderlei's for 5 of those years. It got to a point like eventually, just like all good things, they kind of come to an end, and there was a time where Vanderlei's gym in 2010 was voted best gym in the world, right? So we kind of had a run of success for like 3-4 years, and then business takes over, right? Like management and in terms of finding fights for fighters. That the manager at the gym was Vanderlei's manager. So he's doing contract negotiations for Vanderlei or for the guys that like are jiu-jitsu coaches that were MMA fighters as well, pro fighters. One of my coaches, Vitor Viana, fought for Bellator. I had another jiu-jitsu coach that, you know, he was like 8-0 with 7 submission wins, right? Like getting these contracts signed for them. But like then the amateur fights, we had an amateur and pro coach that would help us find fights, but he was kind of like old school boxing coach, where it was like he didn't care if he burned bridges, you know. So it got to a point where bridges were burned with promoters, and we were losing opportunities. So like training became just an expensive hobby at that point. So I left and I went to Syndicate, right? Vanderlei and I had a little bit of a falling out, but that, you know, we hashed that really smoothly. But for a little bit, it was just like, all right, I feel like a traitor now, you know, because I left this gym, and that was the mindset that he was like, kind of like he had towards me. He's like, oh, you left the gym, traitor, blah blah blah. But also, I wasn't the only one. It was like a pretty mass exodus of fighters from Vanderlei's to Syndicate. You know. Because of that same reasons, like training's becoming an expensive hobby. And if our pros can't eat, how are they going to be able to continue training in the gym if we have to pay what the members are paying? We had to pay the same rate. You know, we're paying $120 a month in 2011, 2010.
Yeah, that's big.
You know what I mean? Like that's right now. That's, you know, with inflation, probably a little bit like it's probably like 190, almost 200. You know what I mean? Like with sounds about So it would be that same equivalent, and we're fighters. So not only are we freaking broke, you know what I mean? A lot of us don't have jobs. So we pretty much just saved what we could, and we've transplanted from wherever we were to Vegas. You know, so a lot of guys had to find jobs, boom, 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 in order to support that. And obviously, you're an adult; you should have a job. You should, you know what I mean? Especially if you want to sustain something like that, or you pursue a career or a dream, because that's all it is. It's a dream. You know, like, so in order to support that, you have to work. You know, and it just went from everything was really, really good to everything was really, really uncertain. You know,
it's nothing personal either, right?
It's not. It wasn't.
And there was like a wave of y'all going too. So it's like, yo, it's not.
And
like,
I was one of the first ones. You know what I mean? And so it's like when you're one of the first ones, it's like, oh, this guy.
Right.
But then when you realize other people are leaving, it's like, oh, okay, maybe there's a problem here.
Yeah, exactly.
And sure enough, after that, like they had a few guys left at the gym. You know, super loyal, cool. That's all good. You know what I mean? But Vanderlei sold the gym to one of the newer jiu-jitsu instructors that we had, who was also a business owner. At that time, his name is Leandro. He still owns the gym. So Vanderlei sold everything, the rights to the gym, to Leandro. Leandro's run it perfectly fine. He's like best friends with Vanderlei.
That's good.
But yeah, like Vanderlei moved back to Brazil, right?
Oh, he did?
So he moved back to Brazil in like 2014, like 2015 or something like that. Yeah. Because once he sold the gym, he was like, I don't need to stay here. You know what I mean? Like I'm rich in Brazil and I'm rich in America. Like, you know, so one thing led to another. I started training at Syndicate, and then that's kind of when I kind of became like a little disillusioned with fighting, because I had my pro debut with Vanderlei with Vanderlei's gym, and then so I was a one fight pro, looking for a fight, looking for a gym, you know, and then on top of that, there was like low key some resentments from the coaches at Syndicate towards the Vanderlei guys. You know what I mean? Because like I'm just showing up at a new gym, so now they're like, "Oh, look at these Vanderlei guys." Now we're gonna try to fuck with them. You know what I mean? Try to like we'll either try to run them out. You know what I mean? And we'll see who sticks. You know. So and then even then, like some of the coaches didn't have our best interests at mind, and like that's like I said, why I became disillusioned with fighting. And there was a huge like I started taking fights with them. And one, I was taking bad fights, but I was also in a bad place in my life. You know, like I had split up with my daughter's mom, you know, so like I'm not even in the right frame of mind to even be training. I shouldn't be training. I should be focused on growing as an adult, maturing as a man, being a better father. You know what I mean? Like, so like I was forcing myself to train, you know, and I was kind of just going through the motions. You know, and then the career started off real high. Got a really cool payout for my first fight. And then after that, I found myself like at one point fighting on an Indian reservation for $100 and $100.
Wow,
You know, so I already knew that like I was losing respect for myself in the sport. You know, so I could only imagine what people around me, especially in a time where, you know, it was kind of a machismo thing. It was like there's toxicity of like, you're only as good as your record, you know, not kind of taking into account like, well, he's got personal things going on, like, but also it's on me to have that figured out.
Right.
And not put myself, being able to speak up for myself is like, I don't think I should be doing these things right now in terms of training or accepting fights.
Yeah.
You know, I shouldn't be taking these fights. I shouldn't be doing these things.
Yeah.
But I was so lost in every other aspect of my life that I was just like, all right, whatever, cool, blah, blah, blah. And then losses started piling up and I was like, you know, I was 1-3, right? And then freaking, I was like, all right, I don't want to do this anymore. You know, so for the longest time, I took the 8 years off, just to try to figure out my shit. You know, like I was still training, I was still teaching, doing all that stuff. So it's like I abandoned martial arts and just like got off the couch one day and was like, I think I'm gonna fight again. You know, it did put me in a position to realize that what I was doing was a privilege. Fighting is a privilege. Training is a privilege. If you don't have your stuff squared away outside of the gym, you don't deserve to be in the gym. You know, it just happened that my personal life was part of my gym was part of the gym was part of my personal life.
Right. It was so incorporated.
Yeah, because like I work as a coach, as a personal trainer, all that fun stuff. You know, so for me to not even be right in my professional life, you know what I mean? Like I'm just kind of phoning it in at times in my professional journey. So it gave me the ability to kind of like recenter things and put myself on a path to where I could mature outside of the gym and slowly mature in the gym. You know, so that way I could put those two things together and knowing that there's balance in my life where I don't feel like I'm forcing myself to be better in one aspect than the other, like better in my personal life than my gym life, or better in my gym life than my personal life. You know, who you see is who I am when I'm at home. You know, like that's the kind of the what I wanted people to see. Like this is me, like the energy that I put out at the gym right now is who I am when people aren't around. You know, so I'm not putting on a front, I'm not wearing a mask. I was working on being my most authentic self. If I at least could do that in the gym, right, I could work on doing it outside of the gym. So that way it was truly a way of life for me. You know, sometimes things happen later than sooner. You know, so I had to go through those headache times and, you know, go through those personal issues and those ups and downs to really feel that what I was trying to get at, like I'm actually getting at now. You know, being who I am inside and out of the gym. You know, being who I say I am, I should say. Inside and out and outside of the gym.
Can I ask you, so what helped you to like realize this, to come to these conclusions so you can start working on yourself? Were you like reading stuff? Were you listening to
honestly
people?
I'm kind of a dope. I don't read all that much. Like honestly, like I want to do a better job at reading. I can read my ass off. It's just I've never looked for the tools or resources to educate myself further. You know, it's like I was so caught up in what I was doing, and then I had all these skewed views about self-help. You know, like, I'm not fucking crazy. I'm not this, I'm not X, Y, and Z. Like, I don't need help, blah, blah, blah. And then it's like, no, you do.
That's a big one,
you know, it's like you do.
Mindset of it. So I think everyone gets those times where they're like, I'm so much smarter than that. Don't worry, I got this.
It's really common.
And it's just been something I've done audiobooks recently. I do have a nice little collection of books.
Selection of books.
Atomic Habits is one of my favorites right now. Like I've had clients give me books. The Energy of Money. Like one of my clients, Darcy, you know, gave me a book about like relationships with money, finances, and stuff like that, and how to command these things, like how to like, you know, manifest these things. You know, so just like what do I focus on expands type stuff. Like, but yeah, like low key, or high key, I'm not a very strong or consistent reader.
But you like realized that there was an issue somewhere, right?
It was just honestly, I noticed the issue was from my personal relationships. They were suffering.
Okay, that's where it stood out.
Yeah, they were suffering, and then there was moments in the gym where I didn't have like the most stellar, not reputation. I just didn't have the most stellar track record of consistency.
Okay.
You know, it's like, because I was so caught up in what was going outside of the gym that like I would bring my personal life into the gym, not in the sense where I'm telling everybody my business, but I would wear my emotions.
Right. Yeah.
Come in, all right, guys. Hey, what's going on?
Yeah.
You know,
just going through the motions.
Yeah, just going through the motions.
Yeah.
And now I notice like I don't do those things. If something bad happens in my life, or something, if I reach trying times or troubling times, I know where to convert my energy to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I know how to switch into that, like, I'm fine, not because I'm trying to convince myself that I'm fine, but I'm genuinely fine. This is gonna be all right. If I'm fucking feeling sad, I'm gonna give myself moments to feel sad, maybe even cry, you know, or I'm just gonna allow myself to feel instead of like bottling everything away and just letting it multiply until one day I just blow up and it's just like, this is not why I'm really mad. This is why I'm really mad. You know what I mean? So making a mountain out of a molehill.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So knowing that I don't have to do that anymore. I can feel that emotion in that time. I'm not going to shame myself for feeling that way. I'm not going to beat myself up over wanting to be a little bit lazy or wanting to be a little bit distant. And I'm not going to shame anybody else in my life for doing those things if they have to do those things.
Yeah.
So just learning that like it's okay to be in that moment, to feel what you need to feel, and then recollect yourself and then get back out there.
Yeah.
You know, put yourself amongst the good people in your life that are going to help you, you know, raise up.
Right.
You know, rise up, I should say. Like, because a lot of it's internal. But you also have a support system around you of people that genuinely want to see you do well. So my support system is the community at the gym. You know, so that way I know if I'm feeling low, I can just show up at the gym. I can go to church. I can do all these different things that take me out of my house, take me out of my thoughts, and put me in a better state of mind, a healthier state of mind. Things that like, I've only been at church last 5 months.
Okay.
Right? Before that, in that time, I'm not reading anything. I'm not like, you know, I'm not going to church. I'm not immersing myself in the community. I'm putting myself in front of my TV screen and I'm playing video games till I get tired.
Just checking out.
So I just check out. Now, like, I'll have moments where, I'm going to hang out at the house. It feels good. I'm not going to shame myself for it. But more times than not, I'm be like, what are my friends doing? You know, see if anybody, see if somebody wants to hang out. Let's go grab lunch. Let's go grab dinner.
That's great.
Let's go watch a movie or go to the park, something. You know, or I'll just do it by myself. You know, like, honestly, you know what I mean? Like, I'll just do it by myself. And again, positions that I've never put myself in before, you know, it's just like fighting. You practice on getting better at handling these things. In fighting, you practice on getting better at being able to handle pressure. Right? And handle the chaotic moments. Right? And knowing that you're going to be safe. Right? The correlations between fighting and life are like crazy.
They're all over the place.
Huge.
Right? Like, so knowing that I don't have to give up just because something's not going my way. I'll fight through it. I'll see the decision. And then I'll learn from that fight. Right? I'm going to win or I'm going to learn. And even when I win, I have to learn. Right? So just knowing that the time in that 8-year span allowed me to be who I was or who I have been over the last 2 years. You know what I mean? So I'm very glad that I stepped away, you know, because it was almost like I was just reinventing myself to like make my pro debut all over again, you know, and with the mindset of knowing like, you're going to do everything in your power to do this the right way. You know what I mean? Because you're counting on yourself. You don't have anybody else counting on you. You're counting on you. You know what I mean? And you should always be that guy. Count on yourself, right? Bet on yourself. So I took the chance of not being in there after so long. And it's like, I know full of well what can happen, but I just know this is what I wanted to do to close out that part of my life. You know what I mean? Like, I had a lot of demons that I fought and beat on October 22nd of 2022, right? I had even more that I kind of was just giving the middle finger to on December 3rd, because it's like, oh, I feel great. You know, I feel great. I feel fantastic. So Any distractions, non-existent.
Mm-hmm.
Excuses, non-existent. Stories and scenarios that I made up in my head, non-existent.
Yeah.
You know, because
Yeah.
it's like sometimes you'll look for a way out even without even saying anything.
Right.
You just manifest the thought in your head, and it's like, okay, it's
Yeah.
not. It's lingering.
Yeah.
It's not going away. So okay, that'll be my default. Built-in excuse.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Had none of those. So it's just being able to know that, like, again, if I can handle that same fight in my personal life and stay calm, stay focused, stay present, just show the best account of myself.
Yeah.
I'll never look in the mirror and be like, you didn't do enough.
Yeah,
Or you
exactly.
can't, I can't convince myself that I'm less than.
Right.
Because I'm always knowing that I did everything in my power
Yeah.
to establish healthy relationships, to immerse myself in my community, to figure out ways how to heal past traumas, past like these wounds, these stories that I would tell myself when I was fighting actively.
Yeah.
It's like, I lost this fight. Well, I suck, you know. And now it's like, no, man, not at all.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not gonna lose sleep over a situation that I cannot go back in time and take back, right? So like in terms of fighting, right? Like getting submitted.
Yeah.
I can't undo that.
Right.
It happened.
Yeah.
You know, but at the same time, did I go in there and give the best account of myself? Yeah.
Right, exactly.
That's the only thing I'm in control of. I'm not in
Literally
control. You kind of, not really. You're not even in control of the outcome,
Yeah, no.
right? Because you could be Khabib and still get beat.
Yeah.
You could be John Jones and still, run the risk of getting beat.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, it's one of those things where I fully know that I'm happy with the direction things are going.
Yeah.
I don't have any doubts in my mind that, like, am I doing enough? Am I doing too much? Like, no, I'm being the most authentic version of myself that I've learned how to be over the last 10 years. You know, like, I have been disingenuous before. I have been a bad friend before. I have been a bad partner. You know, I have been a lazy fighter before. You know, so being committed in all aspects of my life, being consistent, being intentional, you know, which has allowed me to really dive into this whole coaching role better because of those things. It's because people see me now. You know what I mean? Like, they see you every single day.
Yeah.
And they're like, they can tell if you're on your shit or not.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
People talk.
For
The
sure.
oldest form of social media is word of mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? So if I'm not handling my priorities, like, or if my relationship life or love life is in shambles and I'm wearing my heart on my sleeve, like, people are going to know that I'm going through shit because it's happened to me before. Where people are like, hey man, is everything all right?
Yeah.
You know, like, and it's just like, damn, is it that noticeable? Yeah. You know, like, you're like, dude, like, I thought I was kind of, you know, being quiet about this. Like, but sometimes your silence screams louder than your words ever could.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know what I mean? So I have learned that, you know, and I'm just really, really, really grateful that I've had people that have had patience with me, that have given me chances to, you know, prove myself right and allow myself to be everything that I say that I am, or everything that I say that I want to be, allow me to practice to be that guy.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just really thankful for all that, because without it, like, I wouldn't have the same appreciation that I've had without those people.
Yeah.
You know, because, like, it really makes me feel like I'm doing right by them, as opposed to in the past where it's like everybody else. Like,
Sure.
you know what I mean? Like, I still know I have to show up for myself, but at the same time, I do have people relying on me.
Yeah.
Low key,
Especially
whether
at this point.
they say it outwardly or not.
Yeah.
You know, they look towards me for knowledge, or they look towards me for motivation.
Right.
And it's like, I don't want to let those people down.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it all, like, files back to, at the end of the day, like, we're all those kids that are still looking for approval as adults.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
So, like, I know how I felt and still feels like I don't seek out other people for reassurance and validation, but yeah, it is nice to feel like, hey, people noticed that I did something good.
Yeah. It's an
It's nice.
exchange of experience.
Yeah,
You're
it's
not
like,
just taking
so
from them.
I know there's still that kid inside of everybody that's, like, looking for that approval.
Yeah,
And it's just like, I want to be able to share that positive experience
Yeah.
with somebody.
Hell yeah.
And not be looked at as like, I don't like going to his classes, or he's not trustworthy, or I don't really like him. You know, seems fake. Like,
and you do get that experience from some people sometimes.
You do, like, and it's just like, man, like I kind of don't want to be around here. I don't want to be here anymore. Like, so yeah, just really, really thankful for the fact that it has led me to, I mean, December 3rd, that being my 100th total fight in combat sports. So to have
so essentially from the time you were what, 10?
12 first fight,
and now
and then I had my last fight 27 years later.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That's
like
amazing.
So that's about almost 4 fights a year. Like if I did like 27 years straight.
Okay.
Sometimes there were times, there were years that I fought.
Stacking them up.
As a kid, as a teenager, we would go to tournaments every other week.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like there was a tournament every other week.
Yeah.
When it came to MMA fights, like there was a time as an amateur. Amateur, you can fight every week if you want to, which I literally fought twice in a week before.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I went to Wyoming as an amateur. I fought, I lost, and then a week later I won.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I got submitted, and then I won the next week by submission.
Wow.
Yeah, crazy. Like I still remember that phone call from the promoter. It was like, I'm eating McDonald's on the bus ride to the airport. He's like, hey, you still want to fight on? I was kind of like, I got to get back in there.
Yeah, fired up.
You know, so I was like, I was like, can we do 160? Just give me the extra 5 pounds because I was enjoying a bacon, egg, and cheese biscuit,
like
some orange juice, and some hash browns. I was like, So I was like, I'll make 160. He's like, that's fine. I was like, so yeah, and one weighed in.
Can fighters still do that sort of stuff where they like fight every week almost, or are promotions not allowing that sort of thing?
Pro, it's really hard to do. I know the UFC has its moments where they'll make exceptions if they're trying to save a fight from falling off a card because they don't want to replace that fight on an upcoming card.
Okay.
So
if you go from like organization to organization, you can totally pull that off.
I mean, like if you're not suspended by the athletic commission, like if I knock somebody out in 15 seconds, I can fight next week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
So
and they take those things into consideration.
Like normally, depending on how grueling the fight is, like commissions will suspend you for a minimum 30 days.
Oh. Wow.
You know, with no contact, depending on like if it's like a tough fight.
Gotcha.
You know, as a pro.
Yeah.
If you're injured, like especially when it's like a big organization, it's like being injured in the NFL or MLB. You're in like you have to like that's like an injury release, like injury report.
Oh, wow.
So you're like medically suspended until you can prove that you're fit to resume training, resume participating or competing. Oh, wow. So like the athletic commissions get real. Like when I had surgery last year,
from the October fight,
I almost didn't fight on December 3rd.
Oh, really?
Like a week before my fight, I get a call from the commission was like, hey, you're not medically cleared to fight. It's like, what?
Yeah.
I literally just got a physical. You guys said I was cleared.
Okay.
It was like, we need a note from the doctor. I was like, here's a screenshot.
Yeah.
I had the guy's cell phone number. It's like, here's a screenshot of the medicals. The doctor said I'm physically, it says in the box, or fill out by physician. Yeah. Medically cleared. I was like, I almost, if I never got that call, I would have showed up to weigh-ins and they would have been like, you're not medically cleared. You can't fight.
Oh my God.
So, and then on top of that, my EKG or my EEG for my brain, the EEG tech had car troubles. So the doctor canceled my appointment.
Oh, okay.
And I needed my EEG like it usually takes like 4 days to get the results. So I had to get my test pushed to the next week, fight week.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, you guys owe me one. You're cutting it real close. The commission gave me until like Thursday of fight week to get my medicals in.
Wow.
And that's the only thing I'm missing. So yeah, like a lot of these things, again, nobody knew about this except for like Andrew. But again, there wasn't a doubt in my mind that I wasn't going to fight on December 3rd. Like I knew.
So, and then to top it all off, it gets canceled, right?
Because my opponent gets hurt.
Yeah.
So I'm like, dude.
Same week.
Fight week. Like fight week, I get the call from the EEG, like the doctor's office. They're like, all right, we sent the email. You're good to go.
Yeah.
And then that same day, I go to strength and conditioning, and then I get a text from Andrew. Hey man, look at this. So he sends me a screenshot of what the promoters, like the conversation between Luke Crawford and the promoter, my opponent and the promoter. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me.
Yeah.
But then again,
after all
positivity, right? Knowing how to stay calm in the chaos.
Okay.
I said my damn it's and my all that, you know what I mean?
You were living in the moment.
I let the ego pipe up a little bit.
Yeah.
But I calmed it down. You know, I was like, hey, again, this is the name of the game. You know, if we have to wait till January, fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I'm going to stay positive. I'm going to fight this weekend. I'm going to fight. So we're still doing all our training, and we get there to Houston. I still don't have an opponent. Then they tell me the fight got canceled.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm like, all right, I'm going to go collect my show money. I'm just going to weigh in. And then weigh-in day. Hey, don't drink or eat anything. We have an opponent for you.
Yeah.
I'm like, am I fighting or am I coaching? Like, what am I doing right now?
What day is it?
It's like, what's going on right now? It's like, and then he tells me who it is. Didn't know this guy existed until that day.
Yeah.
You know, before that day, I didn't know that guy existed. Then I do a little research, find out he's a Division I wrestler.
Yeah.
I'm like, it does not matter.
That is
like,
a lot to happen in a week.
yeah, it
That's
really
crazy.
is. Like, and again, that feeding my mind with positivity and being around positive people.
Yeah.
Good thing for social media, because like there are some pages that I follow that kind of like help me deal with that where it's just like, you know, calm in the chaos.
Yeah.
You know, church is another thing that's helped me out.
Right.
So yeah, just being calm, calmness, practicing calmness.
Yeah.
You know, and never letting any of these high pressure situations, or you know, hopefully never let them get to me because of my calmness.
Yeah.
You know, I may not win every situation,
Sure. Yeah.
but being present every single time will always allow me to feel good about the result, positive or negative. You know what I mean? Because it's just like, I know I'm not doubting myself anymore. I'm just going to go out there and do it.
Yeah.
You know, so
It's so interesting because like the accumulation of all these practices that you had been learning all over the years, you know, especially recently, just led up to this moment.
Yeah.
That fight week.
Yeah.
Because you went through so much.
I had to practice all that. I mean,
I got this.
in the
and-
build up to it, my cat died.
Oh, that's
You
right. I
know, you're
forgot
like,
about
my
that,
cat
too.
died
Yeah.
like 4 weeks before the fight.
And you did take the time to like be with that too. I remember, right?
For like a couple hours, and then
Yeah.
I showed up at the gym, and Funky and Sean and all those guys were there, and they're like, "Hey, man, whenever you're ready, let's go."
Yeah, because we
And-
were supposed to record again at that time, right? Or some. We had something going on
We were going to record the first time.
the first time.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
and I let you guys know what was going on.
Cat had.
So yeah, like I was devastated, but again, like I didn't allow those lows where normally I would have been like, man, all this, I'm disappearing.
Right. Yeah.
You know, I'm just gonna
Exactly.
check out. I checked out for like a couple hours, and by like 10, 11 o'clock, I was already back training.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like, and I had one of the best training sessions
Yeah.
I've ever had.
Yeah.
So just
I love
knowing,
what they were like when you're ready.
yeah, when you're ready, and they didn't need to say much. You know,
Yeah.
they didn't say much afterwards.
Yeah.
But it was just nice knowing that like I had their support,
Right.
even though like they knew what happened,
Uh-huh.
but they weren't gonna go. You know, you're not gonna beat a dead horse with a stick,
Yeah.
right? They're just not gonna run over what happened. God,
No pun intended.
no pun intended. Ah,
So now
man.
we know what happened with the cat,
but yeah, like it was just nice to know that was part of practicing that calmness.
Yeah.
Allowing
right.
myself to be in that moment, to shed my tears, to cry,
Yeah.
but also give myself like that push, like, hey man, you know, we can keep going. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? We can keep going because, you know, God forbid a family member passes, but like even then, I'm alive. Tomorrow still has to happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'm going to be devastated, yes.
Sure. Absolutely.
But there's still that willingness in me to continue. Mm-hmm. You know, I can't stop because they stopped.
Yeah.
Or because my animal stopped living,
Yeah.
right? Like I can't stop.
Right.
You know what I mean? I still have bills to pay. I have,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, kids to take care of.
Yeah.
Right? I have a profession to live.
Yeah.
You know, and I still have to show up because I do have a guy in 4 weeks that wants to beat my ass.
Right. Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so like, yeah, like that took precedent over everything. Like
Yeah.
I wasn't worried you know, in that moment, over the course of that time, that what was going to happen with my cat, or what was Sylvie going to be all right? Yeah, my cat's fine now, you know?
Right.
But like everything else, like I have to show up. I have to show up for the gym. I have to show up for myself.
Yeah, I still got to coach.
You know what I mean? Still got to coach. Yeah. Like I have to be present for my clients. Like so many opportunities are missed when you take yourself out of the equation.
Yeah.
You know, and I realized that even through fighting, it's like when you take yourself out of the equation emotionally or physically or mentally, I should say, when you take yourself out of the equation, you shouldn't be in there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so I allowed myself to remain present. You know, I allowed myself to listen to my body, but also listen to my surroundings. You know what I mean? And know that like I was in a safe space. I was able to continue. I was able to move forward. And regardless of the outcome, December 3rd was going to turn into December 4th. I was going to have to get ready for ADCCs after. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's right. And then you had that coming up too.
You know what I mean? So I did that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But after that, admittedly, I was drained.
You got burned out.
Oh, I got burnt out. So I'm so glad that it happened during the Christmas and New Year, you know, time frame.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have a lot of clients to work with.
Yeah.
I didn't jump back.
Like
people kind of
pull back a little bit.
They skedaddled for a little bit. You know what I mean? So like,
it's the holiday
and
season.
now I have the energy to be like, cool.
That's so interesting.
Tomorrow is January 8th. I have clients tomorrow. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I want to be in those people's lives. I'm grateful that they let me participate in their day. You know what I mean? They let me be a part of their day. And in the exchange is like, hey, I'm going to give you everything that I can of me. You know what I mean? I just need you, just like I expected myself. I just need you to show up.
Yeah.
Just show up.
So that makes me think, what does you as a young fighter and coach, like, are they surprised of you now as a fighter and coach?
Wait, say it again?
How does that feel? Like, what would you think as, like, you young fighter / coach, like...
I'm proud of how far I've come. Because I used to be really hard on myself. Like, I'd really be hard on myself. And I just think in general, just me as a young man and me as an older, you know, person, right? Like, a more mature man, right? Like, I didn't have the maturity. I didn't seek out the friends or the resources or the tools to want to improve my life. I was kind of happy with where I was at. I just didn't know better, right? So yeah, like I'm glad of where I'm at right now. I'm appreciative of it because like it took losing in life a lot to really appreciate what I have and where I'm at in my current life and my current story. I'm in the exact timeline I'm supposed to be on, right? I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be in my life, and I feel like if I compare myself to others or others' journeys, then I'm just robbing myself of my potential happiness. You know, so just finding the happiness and knowing that like I used to be this way and now I'm this way. You know, being able, like, I wish I could take a time machine and give myself a hug. You know, because I am genuinely. I knew that it wasn't going to be easy. I have a little painting in my living room that I painted with Serena. That we just hung out on Christmas, and we just hung out in my apartment. We painted, right?
That's nice.
And it just, the road is long, but the journey is worth it. You know what I mean? Like it's just like that. Like it's 39 years of my life. That's a lot of time. That's a lot of living, right? But it's been worth it. You know what I mean? Because I have what I have right now. I have a better relationship with my kids, or you know what I mean? Like I have better relationships with my friends, with my fellow coaches who are my friends. You know, with my teammates and everything like that. I have better relationships with my clients, with my members, with the members of the gym. Like I don't view anybody like I'm better than them. You know, in a sense, I used to do that when I was younger. You know, it's like I'm this fucking cool fighter guy, and then I started getting my ass kicked. And I was like, I'm not this cool fighter guy anymore. The ratchets don't like losers. No, but like I got in my head about that. It's like, well, girls don't like losers. You know? And I was like, man, like I like me. At the end of the day, as I am now, I like me. I love me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just nice to know that I have support from the gym, I have support from my community, and I have support from those that really care about me.
That is incredibly beautiful. Like, I love that.
it makes me feel good knowing that, because it's like I'm doing right by them. I don't have to question myself like, am I a good friend? Am I being a good dad right now? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
you see it.
I feel it. And I feel the genuineness, if I'm using that word right, like the genuineness of others around me.
Yeah.
You know, because of who I'm surrounding myself around. People that are keep it 100 with me, you know.
Right.
People that show love, whether they're up or down. And that's like, man, that rubs off on me, and it's like how I am now. It's like if I'm feeling up or down, I'm still gonna show love. I'm still gonna say that I'm happy for people because I genuinely am.
Yeah.
It's authentic.
You know what I mean? It's authentic. You know, there's true authenticity to it, and where I'm at right now, I can look back. I'll look back in 10 years. You know, so that way, that 20 years of looking back, from when I was 29, you know what I mean, to 39 to 49, like, it's going to be an even more beautiful story, because like I'll be able to put more time and effort into creating a beautiful story, because now I know what I want to accomplish. Now I know what I expect of myself. Now I know who I am and who I'm becoming. I didn't know myself then.
Right.
You know what I mean? As an athlete, as a person, I didn't know myself. So I know myself still going to be an athlete in jiu-jitsu competitions, still an athlete as a coach, right? Because like I still have to put these young guys in their place sometimes, right? But yeah, like I'm still that guy with more tools to use.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like with better tools, with more advanced tools to progress for that next 10 years.
Yeah.
Just going to get better.
All aspects.
Yeah, all aspects of my life. To where, like I said, if I could go back in time, I'd give myself a big hug, because like you're gonna figure it out.
Yeah.
You know, and while I don't have it completely figured out, I have it way more figured out than I did when I was 28, 29 years old.
And it seems like you're open to new learning experiences as well on top of that. You know, just with that admission of saying like, I don't have it figured out, but I'm doing my best. You know?
Aren't we all?
Yeah.
Aren't we all just trying? Like, that's why it's like it's fucking hot. It's hard out here.
Yeah, exactly.
It is, you know, it's like, it is hard out here, but at the same time, you know, honestly, you only make it as hard as you make it. You know what I mean? Like, yes, we are a product of our upbringing and stuff like that, but even then, just rewriting those stories that I used to tell myself in that situation, what we talked about last time.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't follow that same train of thought that I used to.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just completely different. So it's like, all right, I looked at it and it's like 2024, man, it's 10 years since like I'm trying to think when I left Vegas. I left in 2017. Okay. So like, but 2024 is 10 years since from when I moved to Vegas.
Oh yeah.
Right? You know what I mean? Right. So it's like, well, no, not 24.
Was it?
I'm not mathing right now.
Were you
14 years. 14 years.
Yeah, because you moved.
Yeah, 2010. 2010. 14 years, almost 15 years since I moved to Vegas.
Okay.
Right? So just seeing myself 15 years later, 14 years later, it's just like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
This is great.
Yeah.
Like, this is great. It's not worrying. I'm not in a point where I'm like, oh, like, I don't know. I don't have anything figured out yet.
Right, yeah.
So it's like, I have a place. I have a roof over my head. I have a car. I'm early on all my bills. Yeah. I'm doing good. Like I am.
Stable.
I'm stable.
Yeah.
Right? I barely had a pot to piss in when I was like in my late 20s. I had roommates, all that fun stuff. And now it's like living in gyms. Right?
That's wild.
You know, so yeah, like I'm just glad it is where it is now. I'm looking forward to what the next 10 years have in store. You know? Let's start this year. 2034. 2034, here we come.
Yeah. You know? I mean, and we're so grateful to have been a little part of that journey as well. You know, like starting off at 10th Planet, you were one of the first coaches we encountered. I think we said last time, and it was just an amazing experience. You know, we were always so excited to get to your class and just be a part of it. You know,
I feel that from you guys.
You
like
took us under your wing, with welcome arms. It was a great experience.
But it's like all these experiences that you guys had with martial arts. Excuse me.
It's all good.
It's the soda water.
Coffee and soda water. What a combination in the morning. But like the experiences you guys have had with martial arts has allowed you guys to blossom in your own right. Right? Like it turned into what it's been almost 2 years that I've known you guys, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Just about.
You guys weren't thinking about this probably 2 years ago.
Not even close.
Nope, not really.
Yeah. Have
Right?
no idea. That's true. That's a great
But
point.
that's you guys stepping out of your shell.
Yeah.
And blossoming into something where you've had other people from the gym
Yeah.
in your home. Like, being honest, bringing people into your home is a really vulnerable thing. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So being able to come out of that shell and just like, all right, we're going to put ourselves out there, so we want to hear other people's stories.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's just, again, just like fighting. You're getting comfortable enough with those reps or with those ideas, those philosophies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That you're like, okay, this is becoming more realistic. This
Yeah,
is becoming reality.
Right.
Yeah.
To where it's like, now you don't even second guess showing up to the gym.
Yeah.
You don't second guess turning that camera on to film and sit down and converse with people.
Yeah.
Right? That's just become second nature for you guys,
Yeah.
right? So it's just like helping people get to that, playing even a little part in helping you guys get to that.
Yeah.
Right? That's awesome for me because it's like we're seeing each other grow.
Yeah. That's the
Yeah.
best part about
Right?
it. Absolutely. Like,
Seeing each other grow, seeing each other thrive. You put yourself in that position, you're always going to be satisfied with life because it's always a give and take.
Right,
You know what I mean?
exactly.
You're giving your knowledge. Like, I'm giving my knowledge to people without anything expected in return. Yeah, I'm getting financially compensated for it because it's a job.
Yeah.
That's my job, right? But at the end of the day, like, what I gain from that emotionally, spiritually, is more than what my paycheck is giving me.
Right.
Because it allows me to be better at what I do. You know what I mean? Because I'm receiving that love and I'm receiving that support from everybody.
Yeah.
And I can see that they value what I have to say. That makes me feel like $1 million.
Yeah.
You know, like, I feel spiritually rich, emotionally rich when I'm around people at the gym, and I'm learning still how to feel that way when I'm by myself.
Yeah.
Right.
To feel that emotional richness. Like, I'm happy with myself, or I continue to tell myself, like, and not trying to trick myself, but I'm happy with myself.
This is all like a version of self-care. Like you're taking care.
Yeah,
of
and I'm trying to nurture myself so that way everybody around me has the best version of me.
Yes.
Because I'm always giving myself the best version of myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, like, if I'm my healed version or my healing version, then people feed off of that. And I just want to be a source of inspiration for people.
Yeah.
That's it.
Hell yeah.
Well, it's
Honestly.
happening for
Yeah.
sure.
It is definitely happening.
And
Like,
can't wait to see like even more because obviously you're always out there and sharing so much. It's really great to be at 10th Planet too and feel that. And then jiu-jitsu competition's coming too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Thursday night
Still
jiu-jitsu.
got more coming.
I'll be kind of
Oh, heck
consistent.
yeah.
Yeah.
Let's
I definitely want to get back on.
I'll be a consistent face on Thursday night jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, that's
That's awesome.
Fully equipped with comedy routines and everything. Like, I have my
why not?
I'm gonna be like the Kevin Holland of Thursday night jiu-jitsu. Just gonna talk shit to people while I'm rolling with them. It's gonna be great. It's all gonna be out of fun, all good love. you know?
I mean, I'm excited for this year, especially.
Yeah.
We really want to get back on the ball there and like really thrive, and be there with everyone else also, trying to help bring everyone up along with ourselves.
Yeah,
And
it's really great to be a part of this cool team.
One
Yeah,
last shout out
that's
before we close up.
yeah.
Just want to give a shout out to all all my teammates at the gym. And I say that meaning my fellow coaches, Andrew Craig, Shane Keefe, Kyle Howard, Dallas, and the guys that train, Sean, Kate, CJ, Funky, all those guys. All the way to the top, Gabe and Curtis. Like, I really want to thank them for giving me the opportunity and trusting in me to be able to provide the members of the gym with an excellent service and something that I continue to I fully intend on doubling down on this year. So appreciate you guys.
That's awesome. Yeah, and
Love it.
yeah, thank you so much for doing this again. We really
Yeah.
appreciate it.
We're so grateful, really.
Audio file is going to be ready this time. I hope.
Yeah, we
Hopefully, I didn't sound all muffled because my lapel kept on
should be
folding over.
I think it's
So-
okay.
These mics are pretty good at picking up audio.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
But guys, if you want, be sure to follow Jason on Instagram. He's always constantly posting really great inspirational stuff. You can follow him there. Sign up for classes over at 10th Planet, or he's also available for private lessons. Which are essential to any sort of like box striking training that you want to engage in, because I mean that's where you get like the nitty-gritty details, is those one-on-one sessions. But of course it's always great to learn in like a class group setting, you know. But yeah, check out 10th Planet Austin too. You know, we're not getting compensated for any of this.
We just like the gym.
Yeah, it's a huge part of our lives, you know.
Really
we're glad to be
is,
a part of it. It's a great community, great people out there.
Have not met anybody that was like rubbed us the wrong way. Like, that was cool.
Yeah, and thank you so much for tuning in on this episode. We really appreciate it, and we'll catch you guys next time. All right,
Like, comment,
See you later.
subscribe.